Hey guys, in this video you're gonna learn how to use Entity Framework Core with the code first approach. So we're gonna create our models first and then we will automatically generate our database using Entity Framework Core. So let's create a new project and let's go ahead and pick ASP.NET Core Web API. Next. And then here for the project name I'm gonna say Content Creators. Next. And here I'm going to keep everything as is. So framework.NET 6, configure for HTTPS, use controllers, and create. So we initially have those files. That's the default model that we have, but let's go ahead and delete it. Let's also go ahead and open our controllers folder and delete the weather forecast controller. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to create two models, content creator and video. If you remember in SQL, we have relationships. It's going to be a one-to-many relationship, meaning one content creator can have 0 to many videos, just like you see here. And of course, in that scenario, usually we know that the foreign key would be on the end side, on the many side, which is why here under video, I put content creator, which is going to be the foreign key, which will be pointing to the unique ID or the primary key ID in content creator. Of course, we're going to have more attributes and we will see them, but that's the main idea. Let's press on our project, content creators, right click. Let's add a new folder. So add new folder and let's call it models. And then let's add our first model or our first class. So add new item and let's call it, of course, let's pick the class one from here and let's call it content creator.cs. So content creator is our first class. First thing we need is the ID. So let's create that property. It's going to be the ID. Then a content creator has a name. So let's create that. Content creator has an age. So we can say integer age. A content creator has a subscriber count. So we can add that. You can also add a date time, which is the join date. And let's add that. So that's our first model. That's our first class. Now let's go ahead and create our second class, our second model. Add new item. And let's call it video. So it's going to be video.cs. Of course, we also have an ID. So integer ID, which is the primary key. A video is going to have a name. A video is going to have a description. Let's add that. And okay, let's go back to this picture right here. As we said previously, one content creator can have 0 to many. So it's a one-to-many relationship. So in video, we need to specify the foreign key, which would point to the primary key in content creator. So to do that, Entity Framework will be able to understand that if we use the class name, so content creator, and we add the ID in the end. So it would be public. Of course, it's an integer, the type. And here we need to say content creator ID. Entity Framework will be able to recognize the pattern. It's going to see that content creator is actually a model that we have here. And then we have ID added. So it will understand that this is the foreign key pointing to the primary key ID here, which is why it's going to automatically add that whenever we migrate. It's going to add that relationship in our database, and we're going to see that soon. So stay tuned. Now we need to add one more thing, and it's called a property navigation. So it's going to be of type content creator, and then let's just call the variable content creator. Or we could also call it something else. We could call it YouTuber or whatever. And the reason it's only one single content creator here, again, is because it's a one-to-many relationship. One video belongs to one content creator, which is why we only have one single content creator here. If it was a many-to-many relationship, for example, here instead of having one content creator, we would have instead a list of content creators. But of course, it makes sense that one video belongs to one content creator. So we added a foreign key, and then we added the property navigation. Also, let's not forget the navigation property in content creator. So one content creator can have multiple videos. I didn't add it before because we didn't have that class yet. So here, it's a list of videos. So video, we can call it videos. In case you're confused why we're using navigation properties, I got this from the official documentation from Microsoft. So navigation properties provide a way to navigate an association between two entity types. In our case, it's content creator and video. Every object can have a navigation property for every relationship in which it participates. In our case, our content creator has a navigation property to videos, the list of videos, and then the video has to only one content creator. Navigation properties allow you to navigate and manage relationships in both directions, returning either a reference object if the multiplicity is either 1 or 0 or 1, or collection if the multiplicity is many. You may also choose to have one-way navigation, in which case you define the navigation property on only one of the types that participate in the relationship and not on both. So here, we didn't have to add it on both, but I'm just used to having it on both when working with Entity Framework, whether it's database first approach or code first approach like in this video. So I'm just gonna keep it on both. Now, if you wanna allow lazy loading in Entity Framework, we would need to add virtual before our navigation properties. So here we can add virtual. And usually if you're doing the data first approach, it would automatically, after scaffolding your database, it will automatically add those and create those for you. Now, let's go ahead and go to Tools, go to NuGet Package Manager, and manage NuGet packages for solution, because we need to download some packages. Let's type Entity Framework Core, and then let's select Microsoft.Entity Framework Core, and let's select our project and install that. I accept. We also need to install Entity Framework Core tools. This one, Microsoft.Entity Framework Core.tools. Let's install that. I accept. And you still need to install one more. So instead of tools, I'm gonna type SQL to find it. And this one, Microsoft.Entity Framework Core.SQL Server, because I'm gonna be using SQL Server as my database. So let's install that. I accept. All right. Now we need to add our DbContext class. We need to create it. So in content creators, now of course, if you're using the 3-layer architecture and you have 3 different projects, this one here, 3 different layers, this one here, you would have the API project, then you would add another project, which would be the business logic layer, and then the data access layer, and the DbContext would go in the data access layer. But to keep it simple here, I'm just gonna create a folder and call it data access layer or DAL. So let's add a new folder. I'm gonna call it data access, and inside of this one I'm gonna add a new class, and we can call it content creator DbContext. Now here we need to inherit from the DbContext class that we got from the NuGet package that we just installed, the Entity Framework one. So DbContext. Of course, we need to add the namespace. So using Microsoft.Entity Framework Core. Now let's write the constructor, content creator DbContext. And here we need to pass in the options. So it's of type DbContext options. And then here we need to specify the DbContext class that we're creating. Then we can call it options. And here we need to call the base class constructor. So base, then options. Of course, we need to open and close the curly braces. All right. Now we need to do one more thing. So if we take a look at our models, we have 2 in our case, content creator and video. We need to specify here what models or what entities we have so that Entity Framework is going to add them to our as tables to our database and create the database. So here we need to specify our models, our entities. So we can say public, and here dbSet is the type, and here we need to specify which model. So we have two models. Let's start with content creator. So dbSet content creator, and now what do we want to call that table? We can say content creator. If you like it to be plural, you can add an S here. It's up to you. And of course, we need to specify the second one, which is going to be also a dbSet, and we have it as video, the class name video. That's our second model, and we can call it video, the table. Of course, we need to add the namespaces, so using content creator.models, and this is pretty much it. Now we need to go to our program.cs, and we need to add the service so that we can also do dependency injection. So here, builder.services.add DbContext, and here we need to specify which DbContext we're adding, which is the new one that we just created, content creator DbContext. So let's add that here, and then here options is going to be the argument that we're going to use. We're going to say options.use SQL server, and to be able to use this method we need to of course add the namespace, and then here in the parentheses we can say builder.configuration.getConnectionString, and then here we need to provide the key from which we're gonna read the connection string from. First, let me add the namespace here using content creators.data access. Okay, and let's add the missing parentheses and the semicolon. All right, now what we need to do is we need to add the connection string in our app settings.json. So let's go ahead and do that here. Connection strings. Then here we can call it whatever we want. I'm gonna call it content creator connection. And here we need to pass in the actual connection string in our database. Now, usually my instance or my connection strings look like that. That's how it looks. This is my PC name. Then here catalog is the database name I want. So I'm gonna call it content creator DB. Of course, you need to have your own connection string here to your own database, to your own SQL server instance, or it won't work. All right, now let's take this key here, go to program.cs, and then here we specified it. So we added the DbContext to our services. We can also use it in dependency injection. And we specified we're using SQL server, and we are reading the connection string from our app settings.json, which is this one. We still need to create our migrations. So to do that, we can go to tools, go to NuGet package manager, and then we need to choose package manager console. Now here we need to add the migration, add dash migration. Then we can name it. I'm going to name it initial or first. And then we can say dash O to specify the output. We can say data underscore access slash migrations. So this is the location. If you press on enter, alright, as you can see now, to the right panel, inside of our data access folder, we have the migration folder with our migration. Now we still need to do one more thing, which is update dash database, and let's wait for it. All right, once it's done, we can open our Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio, connect, and inside of databases, if you open this up, you can see content creator DB. If we open it and we go to tables, as you can see, no, you don't have to worry about the EF migration history, but we have here our two different tables generated from our models. We have the content creator, ID, name, age, subscribers count, join date. Of course, ID is a unique key. And then we have our video here. We have the content creator ID. And to make sure that the relationship is working, we can press on relationship here. And as you can see, Entity Framework was smart enough to notice that we have a relationship here, and it created our foreign key for us. And now if we press on this to check the details, we can see that the primary key table is content creator, the field name is ID, and the foreign key table is video, which is this one, and the foreign key is called content creator ID. So it was able to point out the foreign key to the primary key, and that's awesome. So from our models, from our code, we were able to generate this table, this database, those tables and the relationships with them using Entity Framework Core. Now let's say you had to change some field here or something in your models. Of course, you would need to generate a new migration to keep everything synchronized, to keep your code synchronized with your database. That's why you need migrations. So here, for example, let's say in video, instead of name, you now have title, okay? It's simple. You save it here. You need to come back here and again use add migration, but this time we need to name it something else. I'm just gonna name it second. Of course, in real life you would name it more meaningful name, I guess. And then after you're done, you need to update again. So update dash database, run this command again. All right, done. Everything is successful. Now if you come here and refresh, and then we go to video, design. We didn't refresh the database. Let's right click, refresh. Let's close this up. Let's close this up again as well. Okay. Let's open tables. Let's press on video and let's press on design. And as you can see now, it's no longer called name, now it's title. So anytime you have changes in your models, of course, you need to make sure to rerun the commands, create new migrations, and anytime you add new models, do not forget to open the DbContext class and to add the new DB sets. For every single model you have that you want to create a table, you need to create a new property of type DbSet and specify the model type. Guys, if this video was helpful, please leave a like, subscribe, give me ideas in the comment section. That would really be helpful. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.